Have you ever felt like your entire life was building towards a single impossible moment? A moment so perfect, so utterly improbable that even daring to imagine it felt like tempting fate? Picture this. You're standing on the precipice of a dream you never allowed yourself to fully acknowledge, a dream personified by someone who exists in a realm far beyond your own. This is not just about unrequited affection. It's about a silent, consuming adoration for a woman who could effortlessly command rooms, direct empires, and whose very presence felt like a force of nature. Before we continue, tell us where in the world you are watching from. Drop it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more powerful content like this. And then, at the one event designed to celebrate someone else's love, she turns to you, her eyes a mesmerizing emerald in the soft light, and utters 6 words that shatter your carefully constructed reality. I need you tonight. The sheer audacity of the statement, the raw, unbidden desire it implied, hit me like a physical blow. My world, which had always been a meticulously organized collection of lenses, light settings, and client invoices, suddenly blurred into an intoxicating haze of possibility and fear. The air thickened around me, buzzing with unspoken questions and a dizzying sense of disbelief. It was a sensory overload, a moment suspended outside of time, where the distant clinking of champagne glasses and the murmur of joyful conversation faded into a muted hum. My name is Maya Thorne. I'm 29, and for the past 7 years, I've navigated the intricate dance of a freelance architect. It's a career built on precision, on turning abstract visions into tangible structures, on creating spaces where people can live and thrive. My days are a dizzying kaleidoscope of blueprints, client meetings, and late-night caffeine-fueled design sessions. It's demanding, often solitary, and rarely glamorous. Yet I pour my soul into every project, finding a profound satisfaction in shaping the physical world. I specialize in sustainable, minimalist designs, often for quirky, independent businesses, or for clients who value thoughtful, functional beauty over ostentatious display. It's not the path to billionaire status, but it's my path, one I've carved out with passion and relentless dedication. I never anticipated that a specific project, a grand commission for a luxury resort, would lead me to this particular wedding, to this exact electrifying encounter. My best friend, Liam Maxwell, was getting married. Liam and I go way back to the chaotic, coffee-fueled days of architecture school. We'd survived all-nighters, brutal critiques, and the existential dread of looming deadlines together. He'd seen me at my most vulnerable, celebrated my small victories, and always been my unwavering anchor. So, when he asked me to be his best woman and to help oversee the design of his wedding venue, a new luxury resort he was personally developing, I agreed without hesitation, even though I knew it meant I'd have to see her. Isabella Vance, Issa, Liam's older sister, the formidable, brilliant, utterly captivating CEO of Vance Holdings, a global real estate and hospitality empire. The woman I'd been secretly, hopelessly, irrevocably in love with for 5 agonizing years. Our paths had crossed periodically over those years, always in the orbit of Liam. Family dinners, holiday gatherings, the occasional industry event. Each encounter was a masterclass in carefully curated nonchalance on my part, a silent struggle to maintain a professional demeanor while my heart performed an Olympic-level feat of acrobatics. I first met Issa at Liam's graduation party. She arrived fashionably late, a vision in a perfectly tailored charcoal pantsuit that somehow managed to exude both power and effortless elegance. Her dark, sleek hair was pulled back in a severe yet undeniably chic bun, and her piercing blue eyes swept through the room, missing nothing. She possessed an air of innate authority, a quiet confidence that made everyone else seem to dim in comparison. Isa, even then, was a titan. Her company, Vance Holdings, was synonymous with groundbreaking urban development and five-star luxury resorts across every continent. Forbes had recently featured her as one of the youngest and most influential CEOs in the world. And me? I was a recent graduate, drowning in student loan debt, dreaming of designing eco-friendly tiny homes. The chasm between our worlds felt unbridgeable, a vast expanse of privilege and power that I could only ever observe from a distance. But that night, at Liam's party, something unexpected happened. We found ourselves by the sprawling buffet, an awkward pause in the celebratory chatter. We started talking about architecture, about the philosophy of space, about how she believed buildings should tell stories. Her voice was deeper than I expected, rich and resonant, and it sent a strange tremor through me, settling deep in my chest. I remember the intellectual sparks, the way her eyes lit up as she spoke of her vision for transforming cityscapes. That conversation, those fleeting moments of shared passion, lingered in my mind for months, then years, a quiet, insistent echo in the back of my thought. And now, here I was, at Liam's wedding, tasked with ensuring the seamless flow of the architectural elements, knowing I'd spend an entire day in her proximity, pretending my gaze didn't instinctively seek her out every time she entered the room, every time her laughter carried across the grand ballroom. The morning of the wedding was a symphony of organized chaos. The resort, Liam's latest and most ambitious project, was a masterpiece of contemporary design, nestled on a cliff overlooking the ocean. Glass walls reflected the azure sky, infinity pools merged with a horizon, and meticulously landscaped terraces cascaded down towards a private beach. I arrived at dawn, my clipboard clutched in hand, to oversee the final touches. Floral arrangements were being positioned, lighting cues tested, and the grand hall prepared for the evening's reception. I saw her immediately. Isa stood by the panoramic windows of the main lobby, deep in conversation on her phone, her silhouette framed by the rising sun. She wore a sleek, dove-gray dress that hugged her frame with understated sophistication. Her hair was down today, falling in soft, undulating waves around her shoulders, catching the light. She looked effortlessly elegant, a living sculpture against the backdrop of her own empire, untouchable, yet undeniably captivating. My heart, a traitorous organ, performed its usual frantic dance. I forced myself to look away, to consult my blueprints, to focus on the precise angles of the floral displays, on the alignment of the tables, on anything that didn't involve the unsettling magnetism of her presence. Aperture, shutter speed, ISO. No, wait, wrong context. Architectural grids, structural integrity, material finishes, technical details that didn't make my chest feel like it was simultaneously expanding and collapsing. The ceremony commenced at 3 in the afternoon, perfectly timed for the golden hour, bathing the outdoor terrace in a warm, ethereal glow. Liam, a whirlwind of nervous excitement, looked genuinely ecstatic. His fiancée, Clara, was radiant in a flowing gown, her joy palpable. I moved discreetly through the assembled guests, ensuring everything was unfolding as designed. I checked the seating arrangements, confirmed the sound system, and subtly directed a wayward flower girl. And then there was Isa. She sat in the front row, impeccable, her expression a careful blend of familial pride and CEO-level composure. But I noticed something. Every few minutes, her eyes would subtly shift, not towards the altar, not towards Liam and Clara, but towards me. At first, I dismissed it as my hopeful imagination. A desperate longing twisted my perception. Why would someone like her, a woman who moved through the highest echelons of power, even register someone like me, but it kept happening. Our eyes would meet for a fleeting, almost imperceptible moment before she would look away, her gaze returning to the ceremony. A tremor of unease and something undeniably thrilling rippled through me. My hand trembled slightly as I adjusted a stray banner, my carefully constructed professionalism threatening to unravel. The reception was a dazzling affair, a testament to Liam's impeccable taste and Issa's boundless resources. A live orchestra played a sophisticated blend of classical and contemporary pieces. Waiters in crisp black uniforms moved silently through the throng, offering flutes of champagne and exquisite canapes. The grand hall glowed with the soft illumination of hundreds of fairy lights and strategically placed up lighting, creating an atmosphere of refined celebration. I was by the dessert station, discreetly checking my notes on my tablet, when I felt a presence beside me. I smelled her perfume first, a subtle, sophisticated blend of sandalwood and jasmine. I looked up. Issa stood inches away, holding a half-empty glass of champagne. Her striking blue eyes, usually so guarded, were locked onto mine with an intensity that stole my breath. She leaned in close, too close, close enough that I could see the tiny gold flecks in her irises. Her voice, usually so composed, was barely above a whisper, yet it cut through the festive din around us with an almost alarming clarity. She said, "Come with me. I need you tonight." The orchestra played on. People continued to laugh and converse, but everything around me instantly faded into a distant, muffled echo. Those 6 words, imbued with an unreadable urgency, reverberated in my head like a primal drumbeat. I need you tonight. What did that even mean? Need me for what? My brain, ever the architect, frantically scrambled for logical explanations. Perhaps she needed me to review a design flaw, an urgent structural issue with the resort, a last-minute change to the event layout. But the way she looked at me, the unguarded intensity in her gaze, told me with an undeniable certainty that this had nothing to do with blueprints or construction. My mouth went dry. I tried to form words, but they caught in my throat, refusing to emerge. Issa's expression remained unchanged, a mask of controlled anticipation. She simply turned and began walking towards the moonlit terrace exit, the luxurious fabric of her dress flowing behind her like liquid moonlight. And I stood there, rooted to the spot, tablet still in hand, my heart hammering against my ribs with an almost painful force. Every logical, rational part of my brain screamed at me to stay put. She's Liam's sister. She's a billionaire. She's so far out of your league, it's not just funny, it's a cosmic joke. This is a terrible, catastrophic idea. You will get hurt. But my feet, acting entirely independently of my brain, were already moving. I followed her through the dazzling ballroom, past the string quartet, out onto the terrace where the evening air was cool and smelled of salt and blooming jasmine. Issa didn't look back. She just kept walking, her heels clicking softly against a polished stone path, leading me somewhere I knew, deep down, I shouldn't go. But I went anyway, because sometimes when the woman who has occupied your every waking thought and haunted your every dream for 5 years asks you to follow her, you don't ask questions, you just follow. The terrace gardens, illuminated by a myriad of tiny, strategically placed lights, were a breathtaking blend of architectural precision and wild, untamed beauty. Stone pathways wound between fragrant hedges and exotic blooming plants. A soft, dreamlike glow permeated the air, lending an ethereal quality to everything. A hidden waterfall cascaded gently into a koi pond in the distance, its murmur a soothing counterpoint to the distant music from the reception. Issa finally stopped walking. She stood by a minimalist marble bench, her back to me, shoulders tense. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The only sounds were the faint strains of the orchestra, the gentle rush of the waterfall, and the frantic, deafening rhythm of my own heartbeat. I clutched my tablet like a lifeline, the cool metal a grounding presence in my suddenly untethered world. Isa, what? She turned around slowly. The soft lighting caught her face, highlighting the exquisite planes of her cheekbones, the elegant curve of her lips. God, she was beautiful. But there was something else in her expression tonight, something vulnerable and raw that I had never, ever seen before. She pulled a delicate silver cigarette case from her small clutch and selected a slim cigarette, lighting it with a practiced flick. The brief flare of the flame illuminated her features for a split second before vanishing. I didn't even know she smoked. She took a long, slow drag, exhaled, and watched the smoke curl into the night air, shimmering in the soft light. Then her eyes, those intensely blue eyes, found mine. "You think I don't notice?" she asked quietly, her voice a low murmur that sent shivers down my spine. My stomach dropped like a stone. "Notice what?" "The way you look at me." "Oh, God." A scorching blush crept up my neck, flooding my face with heat. I felt utterly exposed, caught, as if she had just ripped open my chest and meticulously read every single secret, every whispered longing I had meticulously kept hidden for 5 long years. I stammered, incoherent syllables catching in my throat. Don't lie to me, Maya." Her voice wasn't angry. It was laced with a strange, almost mournful sadness, a quiet weariness. I swallowed hard, my throat feeling like sandpaper. "You're my best friend, sister." I could never what? She took a slow, deliberate step closer. "Never admit what you feel?" The air between us crackled, thick with an unspoken energy, charged with something I didn't have a name for, something both terrifying and exhilarating. I shook my head, a desperate attempt to cling to whatever shred of dignity I had left, to rebuild the wall she had so effortlessly dismantled. "Isa, you don't understand. You're just what? Just the woman I haven't been able to stop thinking about for 5 years." The world tilted on its axis. Wait, what? My mind reeled, struggling to process the implications of her word. This didn't make sense. People like Isa, women of her stature and influence, didn't notice people like me. We existed in completely disparate universes, parallel lines that were never meant to intersect. "I don't believe you," I whispered, the words barely audible. She laughed softly, a sound devoid of mirth, laced with a bitter irony. "Of course you don't." She crushed the cigarette under her heel, a small, decisive gesture, and then closed the remaining distance between us. We were standing so close now that I could feel the subtle warmth radiating from her body, the faint scent of her perfume enveloping me. "Do you know how exhausting it is?" she asked, her voice barely a breath. "Pretending I don't see you every time Liam talks about you. Pretending I don't search for you in every crowded room and every industry event." My hands were shaking uncontrollably now. I gripped my tablet tighter, needing something solid, something tangible to anchor me in this rapidly destabilizing reality. "Why now?" I managed to ask, the question a desperate plea. "Why tell me this now, after all this time?" "Because I'm tired of pretending." Her eyes searched mine, raw and vulnerable. "And because tonight, watching you move through that crowd, meticulously ensuring every detail was perfect, overseeing the beauty you helped create, I realized I'm tired of watching my own life from a distance. I want to be in it. I want to feel something real. And you think I'm real? I think you're the most real thing I've encountered in years." My chest ached with a sudden, sharp pang. This couldn't be happening. This had to be a dream, an elaborate hallucination brought on by exhaustion and unfulfilled longing. Or perhaps I'd succumbed to the immense pressure of the wedding preparations and was currently lying unconscious somewhere, my brain manufacturing this entire improbable scenario. But then Isa's hand, cool and slender, reached up and gently touched my cheek. Her palm was warm against my skin. Her fingers traced my jawline with a feather-like touch, a tenderness that made my knees weak, threatening to buckle beneath me. "This touch," she murmured, her voice a silken whisper, "is real. You're shaking," she observed softly, her thumb brushing against my trembling skin. "I'm terrified," I admitted, the confession spilling out without conscious thought. "Of what?" "Of this. Of you. Of what happens if we stop pretending?" She leaned in closer, her breath warm against my lips, smelling faintly of champagne and something undeniably sweet. "Maybe you should stop thinking about what you can't do, Maya," she whispered, her voice a seductive caress, "and start thinking about what you want." What did I want? The question echoed in the suddenly vast expanse of my mind. I wanted to stop feeling like I was perpetually standing on the edge of a sheer cliff, one misstep away from a catastrophic fall. I wanted to stop dissecting every glance, every word, every fleeting interaction with her. I wanted to stop being so damn afraid of the impossible. I wanted her. My voice cracked, raw with emotion. "I don't know if I can do this." "Do what?" "Be what you need." I don't live in your world, Issa. I don't attend exclusive galas or fly to Geneva for economic summits. I eat ramen for dinner, and my studio apartment in Brooklyn has a leaky faucet I can't afford to fix. You deserve someone— Stop. Her voice was firm now, cutting through my self-deprecating stream of consciousness. "Stop telling me what I deserve. I'm standing here in front of you telling you what I want. Can you just, for once, believe that?" Tears pricked at the corners of my eyes, blurring the elegant lines of her silhouette. I didn't know why I was crying. Relief? Fear? Overwhelm? A potent, overwhelming cocktail of all three? "I've been in love with you for 5 years, I confessed, the words tumbling out before I could censor them, raw and exposed, "and I convinced myself it was impossible, that you'd never—" She kissed me, just like that, no warning, no hesitation, no preamble. Her lips, soft and undeniably real, pressed against mine, tasting of champagne and a promise I hadn't dared to imagine. My tablet slipped from my hands, landing on the soft grass with a muffled thud. I didn't care. My hands, acting on an instinct older than reason, found her waist, pulling her closer, seeking the undeniable truth of her body against mine. The kiss deepened, slow, exploratory, like we were both discovering a language we had unconsciously known, a melody we had been searching for our entire lives. When we finally pulled apart, gasping for breath, we were both trembling. "Was that real enough for you?" she whispered against my lips, a voice husky with emotion. I couldn't speak. I simply nodded, a silent affirmation of a reality that had just irrevocably shifted. She smiled, a real smile, a dazzling, utterly genuine smile that reached her eyes, crinkling the corners, transforming her face into something breathtakingly human. Good. Behind us, the reception continued its vibrant celebration. Music drifted through the garden. People laughed and danced and celebrated a different kind of love. And here, hidden among the fragrant jasmine and twinkling fairy lights, I stood in the arms of the woman who had lived in my dreams for half a decade. My best friend's billionaire sister, who, against all odds, apparently loved me back. We stood there for what felt like an eternity, but was probably only a few minutes, suspended in the aftermath of a seismic shift. My mind, usually so orderly and precise, raced with 1,000 questions. What did this mean? What happened next? Did she want a relationship, a clandestine affair, a fleeting moment of passionate rebellion? God, I didn't even know what I wanted anymore. 10 minutes ago, I was convinced this was an impossible fantasy. Now, she was looking at me like I was something precious, something worth cherishing, something undeniably hers. "We should go back," Issa said finally, her hand still resting possessively on my waist, her thumb tracing small electric circles against my skin. "People will notice we're gone. Reality harsh and uncompromising, crashed back in. Right, the wedding. Liam, hundreds of guests, her family, my best friend. Oh my God. Liam, I breathed, the realization hitting me like a cold wave. Issa's expression shifted subtly, a flicker of something unreadable in her eyes. What about him? He's my best friend, and you're his sister. If he finds out what? That we kissed? That we... I gestured helplessly between us, encompassing the entirety of this bewildering, beautiful, terrifying development. This, whatever this is. She took a step back, creating a sliver of space between us. The loss of her warmth was immediate and acutely painful, like a sudden drop in temperature. Her walls, those formidable, carefully constructed barriers, were going back up. I could almost see them clicking into place, the CEO persona reasserting its dominance. "You're right," she said, her voice returning to that controlled, business-like tone I'd heard her use in board meetings, cold and efficient. This was a mistake. Wait, no, I shouldn't have. She ran a hand through her hair, a rare, uncharacteristic gesture that ruffled the perfect waves. I wasn't thinking clearly. Too much champagne. The wedding atmosphere. "I apologize for putting you in this position, Maya." My heart cracked. A sharp, audible sound that only I could hear. Just like that, she was pulling away, retreating back into her fortress of composure and control, sealing herself off from the vulnerability she had briefly allowed to surface. "Don't do that," I said, my voice surprisingly steady, a desperate plea to keep the fragile connection from shattering entirely. "Do what?" Pretend like what just happened meant nothing. Her jaw tightened, a muscle flexing under her skin. "Maya, you said you were tired of pretending. You said I was real. Were you lying?" "Of course I wasn't lying." Her voice rose slightly, an almost imperceptible tremor before she caught herself and lowered it again, regaining her practiced control. "But it's complicated." "Why?" "Because." She threw her hands up in a rare, uninhibited gesture of frustration, a flash of the woman beneath the carefully polished veneer. "Because you're 29 years old with your entire life ahead of you. Because I'm 34 and drowning in responsibilities. Because I live in boardrooms and you live behind a drafting table. Because my brother is your best friend. And if this goes wrong, I interrupted her, the words spilling out before I could reconsider. "You're already assuming it'll go wrong. Most things do." The profound sadness in her voice, the weary resignation, hit me like a physical blow to the gut. "Is that what you really believe?" I asked softly, my voice filled with a painful empathy. "That nothing good can truly last?" She looked away, her gaze fixed on the distant murmuring waterfall, a symbol of relentless, unchanging flow. "I believe that people like me don't get fairy tale endings. We get mergers and acquisitions and strategic partnerships. We get marriages arranged for business reasons and relationships that look good in photographs and annual reports. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard." She laughed, a short, bitter sound devoid of humor. "Welcome to my world." I picked up my tablet from the grass, brushing off a few stray blades. My hands, surprisingly, were steadier now. Funny how heartbreak, or the imminent threat of it, had a way of bringing a brutal, clarifying focus. "You know what I think?" I said, stepping closer, refusing to let her retreat completely. "I think you're scared." Her eyes snapped back to mine, blazing with a sudden fierce defiance. "Excuse me, you're scared. And you're using all these excuses, our age difference, your job, Liam, to justify running away from something that might actually make you happy. You don't know what you're talking about." "Don't I?" I took another step towards her, narrowing the distance. "You said I was real, that I was the most real thing you'd encountered in years. Was that true or not?" She didn't answer immediately, her gaze flickering, revealing the internal conflict warring within her. Because if it was true, then Yeah, it's going to be complicated. It's going to be scary. Liam might be upset at first. Your business associates might judge you. The media will certainly have a field day, but none of that changes how you feel. And none of that changes how I feel. And how do you feel? She asked quietly, her voice barely a whisper, a desperate plea for an honest answer. Terrified, I admitted, the word a raw, exposed truth. Completely and utterly terrified, because you could break my heart into a million irreparable pieces. And I'd probably thank you for the privilege, but I'd rather be terrified with you than safe and miserable without you. Silence stretched between us, thick with unspoken emotions. The distant music from the reception seemed to change, shifting to a slower, more romantic melody, something aching and beautiful. I don't know how to do this, Issa finally said, her voice cracking slightly, revealing the fragile vulnerability beneath the formidable exterior. I don't know how to be vulnerable, how to be open, all the things you probably need. Then learn. It's not that simple, Maya. Yes, it is. I closed the remaining distance between us, stepping into her personal space, into the magnetic field she generated. You said you wanted something real. Real is messy. Real life is complicated. Real means showing up even when you're scared, even when you have no idea what you're doing. She looked at me with those devastated blue eyes, a raw vulnerability replacing her usual guardedness. What if I hurt you? What if you don't? A long, heavy pause hung in the air. Then a ghost of a smile touched her lips. You're very persistent, aren't you, when it comes to things I want? Yeah. I am. The corner of her mouth twitched, almost a full smile now, a genuine warmth radiating from her. I noticed that about you. That first night we met at Liam's graduation, you asked me about the story behind my company. Really asked, not the surface-level questions people usually throw at me. You wanted to understand because you were interested. You are interesting. Most people find me intimidating. You are intimidating, I conceded, a smile finally breaking through my own carefully constructed composure, but also human. And I like the human parts best. She shook her head, but she was smiling now, a radiant, utterly real smile that reached her eyes. You're going to be the death of me, Maya Thorne. Is that a yes? A yes to what exactly? To trying, to seeing where this goes, to not running away the second things get difficult. She studied me for a long, agonizing moment, her gaze unwavering. I could almost see the internal battle playing out behind her eyes. Fear versus hope, control versus surrender, the weight of her carefully constructed world against the undeniable pull of something real. Finally, she sighed, a soft exhalation of acceptance. One condition. What? We take this slow. We figure out how to tell Liam together. And if at any point you decide this is too much, my schedule, my world, the inevitable media attention, you tell me. No guilt, no obligation. Deal, deal. I mean it, Maya. I won't trap you in something that makes you unhappy. The only thing that would make me unhappy is losing you before we even start. She reached out, her hand tender, and tucked a stray strand of hair behind my ear. The gesture was so unexpectedly tender, so intimate, it made my chest ache with a bittersweet mixture of joy and vulnerability. We should really go back now, she murmured, her gaze lingering on mine. Yeah, neither of us moved. We did eventually make it back to the reception, separately, as planned. Issa went first, disappearing into the crowd with a casual wave. I waited 5 minutes, carefully composing myself, trying to look like I'd just been out on the terrace admiring the architectural lighting and not having a life-altering conversation with my best friend's sister. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of forced professionalism. I focused on my work, ensuring the seamless transition from dinner to dancing, checking on the sound levels, overseeing the breakdown of various displays. But I was hyper-aware of Issa's presence, a constant magnetic pull that vibrated beneath my skin. Every time I turned around, she was there, talking to relatives, laughing at someone's joke, looked effortlessly elegant and completely untouchable again. Except now I knew the truth. She wasn't untouchable. She was just incredibly good at pretending. Around midnight, guests began to trickle out. Liam and Clara departed in a vintage car adorned with a shower of rice and a just married sign, heading to their honeymoon suite at the resort before their morning flight to the Maldives. I stayed behind to supervise the final cleanup, collecting my blueprints, my tablet, my various architectural tools. The resort staff was already efficiently breaking down tables and clearing floral arrangements, transforming the grand hall back to its pristine state. I was carrying a box of my materials to my car when I heard footsteps behind me, light and purposeful. "Let me help with that." Issa appeared beside me, reaching for the heavy box with surprising strength. "You don't have to. I want to." We loaded my equipment into my modest car in comfortable silence. The parking lot was nearly empty now, just a few scattered vehicles under the flickering glow of the resort's discreet lighting. "Where are you parked?" I asked, gesturing to the expanse of the lot. She pointed to a sleek, obsidian black electric car, its minimalist lines gleaming in the dim light. "Of course, I can drive you home," she offered, her voice soft, a hint of concern in her tone. "You must be exhausted. My apartment is 40 minutes away, a good drive back into the city. So that's an hour and 20 minutes of driving for you, round trip?" "I'm aware of how time works, Maya." She smiled, a small, genuine curve of her lip. "Don't you have an early meeting tomorrow or some incredibly important corporate summit to attend?" "Nothing I can't reschedule." Something warm and unexpectedly tender bloomed in my chest, chasing away the residual chill of her earlier retraction. "You'd reschedule a meeting for me?" "I'd reschedule a lot of things for you." The drive began in a comfortable, easy silence, a welcome reprieve from the frenetic energy of the wedding. Issa's car smelled like expensive leather and that same subtle perfume, a scent that was rapidly becoming irrevocably linked with her. Classical music played softly from the sophisticated speakers, a melancholic Chopin piece, I thought. We hit the highway, the distant city lights glittering like spilled diamonds on a black velvet cloth. I watched them blur past, a mesmerizing kaleidoscope, my mind slowly processing the dizzying events of the night. "Can I ask you something?" I said finally, breaking the quiet. "Of course. When did you first know that you felt something for me?" She was quiet for a long moment, her eyes fixed on the illuminated highway ahead. Then, her voice a low murmur, she said, "Liam's birthday party. 3 years ago, I remembered that party vividly. It was a casual affair at his renovated loft apartment, a relaxed evening of takeout pizza and craft beer. Nothing fancy, nothing to suggest such a momentous internal revelation." "What happened at Liam's birthday party?" I asked, my curiosity piqued. "You were telling a story about a particularly challenging architectural project you just finished, a tricky renovation of an old bookstore, dealing with historical preservation codes, and a demanding client. You were so animated, using your hands, describing the structural challenges and your innovative solutions. Everyone was listening intently, and I just couldn't stop looking at you. The way you lit up when you talked about your work, the passion that radiated from you, the way you made everyone around you feel comfortable, included in your enthusiasm." My throat felt tight, a lump forming in it. "I had no idea you were even paying attention to me." "I'm always paying attention to you." Her voice was laced with a quiet intensity that sent shivers down my spine. "That's the problem." "Why is that a problem?" I asked, turning slightly in my seat to face her. "Because it makes it very hard to focus on anything else." We exited the highway, leaving the bright city lights behind, and wound through quieter, tree-lined streets. The branches, heavy with summer leaves, created shifting shadows in the rhythmic sweep of the headlights. "Are you really going to reschedule your meeting?" I asked, still incredulous, needing to confirm the reality of her casual disregard for her own meticulously planned schedule. Already done. I texted my assistant while you were loading the car, "Issa, you don't have to. I don't want to be a disruption to your work." Maya, stop. "I want to do this." She glanced at me briefly, a soft, genuine smile touching her lips, before returning her eyes to the road. "Do you know how long it's been since I did something just because I wanted to, not because it was strategic or necessary or expected? How long?" She paused, her smile fading into a wistful expression. "I honestly can't remember." The profound sadness in her voice, a quiet echo of the loneliness she confessed in the garden, made me want to reach over and offer a comforting touch to bridge the invisible chasm of her solitary existence. So I did. My hand, acting on an impulse of pure empathy, reached across the console and gently covered hers, intertwining our fingers. She looked down at our clasped hands, surprise flashing across her face, followed by a soft, almost shy smile. "Is this okay?" I asked, a whisper of uncertainty in my voice. More than okay. We drove like that for a while, hand in hand, the silence between us no longer awkward but comfortable, brimming with unspoken understanding. There was no need to fill the space with words. The simple connection of our hands was enough. But then Issa suddenly pulled the car over. We were on a coastal road now, a secluded stretch where the vast expanse of the ocean stretched out into the impenetrable darkness on our right, its presence a powerful elemental force. She put the car in park and turned off the engine, plunging us into a profound quiet, broken only by the distant roar of the waves. "Why are we stopping?" I asked, a ripple of apprehension and excitement running through me. She didn't answer immediately. She simply opened her door, got out, and walked towards the edge of the road, where a low stone barrier separated us from a steep drop to the rugged, untamed beach below. I followed her, my heart pounding a soft, insistent rhythm against my ribs. The wind was stronger here, carrying the bracing scent of salt water, whipping Issa's sleek hair around her face, momentarily softening her usually formidable composure. Waves crashed against the unseen rocks far below, their ancient, rhythmic roar a constant counterpoint to the quiet intensity of the moment. "I used to come here when I was younger," Issa said, her voice barely audible above the wind, her gaze fixed on the dark, fathomless expanse of the ocean. "Whenever things got too overwhelming, my parents' expectations, the relentless demands of the business, the crushing weight of everything, I'd drive here and just breathe." I stood beside her, close enough that our shoulders brushed, the slight contact a comforting anchor in the vastness. "What's overwhelming you now?" I asked, my voice soft, laced with a genuine concern. "You, me, us," she confirmed, turning her head slightly to look at me, her eyes reflecting the dim, starlit sky. "You, in the best possible way. You make me want things I thought I'd given up on, things I convinced myself I didn't need." "Like what?" I asked, my voice catching in my throat, afraid to hope, yet unable to stop myself. "Like mornings without checking my phone first, like conversations that last for hours just for the sake of it with no agenda, like falling asleep next to someone who actually knows me, truly sees me beyond the titles and expectations." She finally turned to face me fully, her gaze direct and unwavering, radiating a raw, undeniable honesty. "Like love, Maya." My heart stopped. The world around me seemed to hold its breath. "I scare you, don't I?" she continued, her voice a low murmur laced with a profound understanding. "Not because of who I am or what I do, but because this could actually be something real and fragile and terrifyingly important." "Yeah," I admitted, the confession a shaky breath. "You terrify me." Good. A genuine smile full of warmth and a touch of mischief illuminated her face. Because you terrify me too. The wind picked up, a sudden gust, and I shivered involuntarily despite the warmth of the evening. Immediately, Issa shrugged off her tailored blazer, a garment that probably cost more than my monthly rent, and draped it over my shoulders. It was still warm from her body heat and carried the intoxicating, now comfortingly familiar scent of her perfume. "Thank you. I meant what I said earlier," she told me, her voice softening, her hand resting gently on my arm. "About taking this slow, about being careful. But I also meant what I said about wanting something real. So where does that leave us, Issa?" She considered this for a long moment, her eyes gazing out at the dark ocean, as if seeking answers in its boundless expanse. "How about this?" she said.